The fact that you live in Connecticut and haven't heard about this.
Thank you to everyone who tagged us in this video. Let's talk about it. Lauren Smith Fields was found unresponsive in her apartment in Connecticut on December 12th and later died. Local reports say she was on a date with an older white man she met on Bumble before she was found. He was actually the one who called the police, but reportedly wasn't held for questioning because he was nice and didn't need to be investigated. The city's medical examiner hasn't released the cause of death, leaving the family with lots of questions on what happened. They reportedly tried to contact the police but haven't gotten a response. But the city did release a statement saying they're reviewing the handling of the case.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the case of Lauren Smith Fields, a Black American woman who was unalived in 2021 December, and her family suspected the date she had with a man from a palm-colored man she met on Bumble.
Right, so what is this case about and why is it going viral right now? And why has it not been on the limelight up until right now?
Right.
Let's watch this and then we come back and talk about it. Please remember to subscribe if you're new to our channel and also leave us a comment on what you think about this episode. Let's watch.
Imagine showing up to your daughter Lauren's apartment to find a note that says, if you're looking for Lauren, call this number. You call the number and it's the landlord. He comes downstairs and he informs you and your son that your daughter Lauren is dead, that police came and took her body the day before. Well, that is exactly what happened to the family of 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields. 23-year-old Lauren Smith Fields was living in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and on Monday, December 13th, 2021, her mother Chantel showed up to her apartment because she wasn't answering any phone calls or text messages. When Chantel and her son Lakeem, so Lauren's brother, showed up to her apartment, they found a note on her door that said, if you're looking for Lauren, contact this number. They called the number and it turned out to be the landlord. The landlord came downstairs and he informed the family that Lauren had been found dead the day before and that her body was gone. He provided the family with the number for the detective in charge of the case, and that was it. Lauren's family was so confused. I mean, there was no crime scene tape in her apartment. There were no police officers there. There was nothing to indicate that a crime had occurred or that a body had literally been found the day before. The family was also confused as to why they were not informed about this. Why were they barely finding out that Lauren was gone? The family immediately contacted the detective in charge of the case, which was Detective Kevin Cronin, and he was just very calm with the family. He didn't really show any emotion or any type of sympathy for them. He told the family that Lauren had been found the day before, that her body was already removed from the apartment, and that was it. That a couple of days ago, Lauren had met a 37-year-old man named Matthew LaFontaine on Bumble, and that Lauren had invited Matthew to her apartment, that they were basically just hanging out there, eating, drinking, and all of a sudden, Lauren fell ill. Matthew continued to check in on her throughout the night, and he woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to use the bathroom, saw that Lauren was sleeping and snoring, and he went back to bed. Then he woke up again at around 6:30 in the morning, and this is when he saw Lauren lying on her side, bleeding from her nose and from her mouth. He called 911 and they instructed him to do chest compressions. He did, but unfortunately it was too late. Lauren was gone. The police showed up, took Lauren's body, let Matthew go, and that was it. They closed the case. The family asked the police why Matthew wasn't being investigated further, and the detective said that he seemed like a really great guy and that he was there when the medical examiner said that there were no signs of foul play. So he was let go. The family still had so many unanswered questions, and Detective Cronin was like, okay, don't worry, I'm going to drive down to Lauren's apartment. I'll meet you there and I'll discuss this further with you. However, 45 minutes passed and Detective Cronin still hadn't shown up. Lauren's family started calling the Bridgeport Police Department. They started calling Detective Cronin, but their phone calls went unanswered, so they decided to just leave. The family eventually made their way to the Bridgeport Police Department, and there they felt like they were being treated like suspects. The family says that instead of going into a meeting room or some type of normal room to discuss what happened to Lauren, they were put into a tiny interrogation room. The officers gave them hostile looks, and anytime the family had any type of question, they were just met with a condescending tone. They wanted the police to further elaborate on what actually happened to Lauren. Her official time of death was determined to be 6:49 in the morning, and she had been deceased for at least an hour or so before she was found. Police collected her phone, her passport, her credit card, and $1,340 $45 in cash. They locked up her apartment and they left. So the family was like, okay, that's all the evidence that you collected? Because they had gone to Lauren's apartment and they found some very frightening pieces of evidence. First of all, they found that there was a huge blood stain in the middle of her bed sheets. They also found a pill, a half-full bottle of lubricant on her dresser, a flipped over plate of food, and a condom with semen in it in the bathroom trash can. Now, the semen had not been dried up, so that meant that this was recent. So with this, the family's like, how did you collect her money and her credit cards and her passport, but you didn't collect the sheet with blood on it or the condom found in the bathroom? The family asked the police, okay, did Matthew and Lauren have sex? And the police were like, well, Matthew says they didn't have sex, so we believe him. Again, they could have tested his DNA against the DNA in the semen that was found in the condom just to confirm that story, but they didn't. The family truly felt that Lauren's death was being dismissed because of the color of her skin, so they decided to hire a private attorney to help them out and help them get the answers that they were looking for. This is when their private attorney, Darnell, brought up the question of what if Matthew has a connection with the police department? I mean, what other explanation is there as to why he is just immediately released, why he isn't considered a suspect, and why this case is just being brushed under the rug? From the beginning, everything in the way that the police handled the case was wrong. They didn't close off Lauren's apartment, there was no photographs taken, no forensic evidence taken, no questioning of Matthew, nothing. The family's lawyer says that criminal experts who took a look at the case said that it should have been treated as a homicide from the very beginning, but it just wasn't. The family knew that it was going to be up to them to get Lauren's name out there and get the justice that she deserved. They began spreading her name and photo all over social media, encouraging people to use the hashtag Justice for Lauren and to share her story. As for Lauren's autopsy, it determined that her death was an accidental overdose caused by an acute intoxication due to the combined effects of fentanyl, promethazine, hydroxine, and alcohol. However, Lauren's friends and family say that she didn't do drugs, that she didn't even do marijuana, so to learn that she had all of these drugs in her system, it just didn't make sense. As for what Matthew was saying about all of this, he had hired an attorney and he wasn't speaking to the public. His attorney came out with a statement saying that he and Matthew offer their condolences to Lauren's family. However, Lauren's attorney is like, listen, if you really did feel sorry and if you did really want to cooperate, why don't you just offer a DNA sample so we can test it for the DNA found on the semen in the condom, and that way we can confirm if you did or didn't have sex with Lauren that night. They wonder how the cases would have been treated if the roles were reversed. If Lauren was a white woman and Matthew had been a black man, would the case have been closed so quickly? Probably not.
I call bullshit. Today the medical examiner ruled Lauren Smithfield's death accidental. Perhaps you can understand why I don't understand. This investigation was botched from jump. Now, I didn't go to police school, but it seems to me that the last person with the person who is now deceased should be who you need to be investigating. But apparently the last person who saw her alive was able to skip away scot-free because he looked like a nice guy, and before you even ask me, yes, he was this side of the pond. Add that on top of the fact that crucial forensic evidence was not collected and that her family wasn't even notified. They found out by calling a number on the door that said, if you want to know where Lauren is at, call this number. I call bullshit. And it's sad because the family's probably going to have to spend even more time and money hiring another medical examiner to conduct a second examination of her body and get a second opinion.
2 police officers have been suspended as Connecticut officials investigate the deaths of 2 black women, both cases marked by accusations of racial insensitivity. Lauren Smithfield and Brenda Rawls were found dead hours apart last month in Bridgeport. Their families say both women had been on dates shortly before they died. Relatives also say police treated the cases with no urgency. Bridgeport's mayor released a statement Sunday calling the Bridgeport Police Department's actions unacceptable.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode in the comment section. One thing I've noticed from what we've watched is that I feel like this case was grossly mishandled, and as the lady said, it is suspected that the man might have been connected to the police department, and I feel like because it was a black life, in this case it didn't matter, is why they didn't investigate it the way they should have.
Right. And someone asked a very important question, which is, what if it was the other way around? What if the woman who was unalived was a white woman and the man in question was a black woman? Would this case still be handled the same way? Right. Now, it's not clear if it was foul play or not, but what the family is saying is that due diligence wasn't a practice when they were investigating this case.
Right. Guys, okay, one thing I have to ask also is that when the family went to her house, they talked about the scene they observed when they walked in. And what I'm struggling to understand understand is if there was blood where you walk in, it means foul play had to be involved. Why was there blood in her sheets? They needed to investigate that. But the way they handled it, you know, even I
was
feel like
very dismissive.
Dismissive. I feel like that cop is racist. I just have to say it because, like, how can you say you let a suspect go just simply because he seemed like a nice guy?
Right. And you know, the family of this lady in question, they insist that she was never a junkie and never did she ever use drugs, not that they know of. And right now, when the autopsy was done, it was revealed that her body had she was intoxicated and her body had drugs in her system.
Right. I tried to Google the case and how it ended, and unfortunately, the case ultimately was ruled an accidental overdose caused by fentanyl and alcohol mixing. And I'm asking myself, could that just have been a cover if, let's just say, foul play was involved because there was blood and that blood has to be accounted for? Could you say that this man did that in order for that to look like the cause of death? And let's just say they helped her because the police failed to take any evidence. They didn't even take any photos in the crime scene. They didn't do anything that was supposed to be done when it comes to protocol that is being followed after a person has been reported to have been unalived, you know?
Right. And after watching this video, all I can say is that we are also left with more questions than answers at this point, and I don't feel like the family also
Never
has gotten
got
closure or peace of mind pertaining what happened to their child
Right.
during that day.
Right. There was a case I also saw, not a case but a news report. I also saw that the police, they suspended 2 policemen from the same precinct. I hope I'll be able to find that video to attach it. They suspended those 2 policemen because of the Lauren case, and it is said that there was another black woman who was unalived and they handled her case the exact same way, closed it without investigation, and they didn't even bother with it, which makes me feel like in that precinct, I feel like changes need to be made because if Lawrence wasn't the first case and that other lady wasn't the first case, it means that this is a perpetual habit they practice, and I don't feel like the black community is being helped in that society, because if this man did that, then who's to say he's not gonna be targeting another person and doing that in order to get away with it, because he wasn't held accountable in any way, shape or form.
Right. So that being said, guys, let us know what you think about this episode. Also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.